So hi everyone, my name is Tricia Cigna and I'm a designer at Dick's Sporting Goods on our home field design system team. Today I want to talk about designing performance-friendly and accessible foundations. So a little bit about me. As I mentioned, I'm a designer at Dick's Sporting Goods in Pittsburgh, PA. Very happy to be enjoying some of this West Coast sunshine. I actually hear it's raining and snowing at home right now. I love to travel, do yoga, and generally just nerd out about design systems, which I think a lot of us are doing here today. It's been really fun. So first, I want to start with talking about performance-friendly digital foundations. So what are digital foundations? They're the building blocks of what we use to build our home field design system. They keep the Dick's brand at the core, and they put up scaffolding for the rest of our system's components. So our foundations include color palettes and variants, type styles, grids and templates, spacing scales, and iconography. So next I want to talk about the importance of brand in a design system. Brand is a core component to design systems. It's why we spend so much time and money building a unique one. Otherwise, an off-the-shelf system like Bootstrap or Material would do the trick for us. One of the most common areas of confusion that I seem to encounter with stakeholders is what the difference between brand guidelines and a design system is. Traditional brand guidelines typically cover the do's and don'ts of logos, color, art direction, brand values, and voice and tone. They're applicable to everything that a company does. The same principles we apply to physical spaces and print mediums don't always work for digital experiences, and there are some considerations that only affect digital. So some of these considerations include factors like how general color usage can impact user experience. For example, we typically associate red with errors and green with success. Responsive layouts, interactions, animations, and typography all have impacts to site performance. Different browsers, devices, operating systems, and connection speeds create a unique experience for each user at times. So why is it so important to design performance-friendly foundations? The length of time from when a user enters a URL, clicks a button, or selects from a drop-down list and when the page responds will affect their perception of your site. A delay of about 1 to 2 seconds feels instantaneous for users. 2 to 4 seconds is perceptible. 4 to 6 seconds starts to make the user feel like a machine is working. Beyond that, they start to mentally context switch, meaning they basically got bored waiting. So as a designer, how can I really be affecting these numbers? We're designing sites with increasingly rich content, lots of dynamic elements, larger JavaScript files, elegant animations, and complex graphics. At times, a beautifully designed layout can actually come at the expense of your page performance. Sometimes responsive sites can actually be irresponsible with the amount of images and markup used to reformat it at smaller sizes. We're unknowingly forcing users to download resources just to use our website. So in the initial phase of creating our home field foundations, that's what will typically drive the rest of how our digital products are built. If we're not designing performance-friendly and accessible foundations at the onset, we're potentially setting up all of our users for failure. So we started with optimizing our color palettes. By creating thoughtful and organized color palettes, we can enable the theming of components. When components are reused, these design patterns will become cached by the user's browser. This enables faster load times for people who have interacted with the pattern component elsewhere on your site. So for example, if you go to the Dick's website on your phone and you tap into that navigation to start browsing, you may or may not actually notice there's a tiny delay in that interaction time for that component to appear. That's because it's the first time your browser is downloading these resources to physically make that component display on your device. If you were to come back to the site a few hours later, a few days later, you likely wouldn't experience any of that delay because your browser has cached a lot of that information. Also, every font family and font weight loaded will impact your page performance. So that's something you really want to try to keep an eye out for when you're designing. So by creating about 30 different key type styles using minimal font weights and font families, we were actually able to reduce our font files being loaded per page by nearly 80%. And lastly, by considering how responsive layouts can impact HTML hierarchy and the organization of CSS, we are able to develop performance-friendly grids and templates. So this ensures that consistent scaffolding I mentioned earlier is translated through all of our digital experiences. All right, so next I want to talk about the importance of making considerations for accessibility and inclusion up front in your design systems. So many of us are probably familiar with the concepts of accessible and inclusive design. Some may know a whole lot, some may know very little. The point is that we can't expect everyone to understand. It's still a pretty foreign topic to many of our stakeholders and peers even. To be honest, it's still somewhat of a foreign topic to me at times. There's constantly something that's tripping me up about solutioning something when it comes to accessibility. So just because I can't expect everyone to fully understand accessible and inclusive design doesn't mean that my team and I can't define a goal for our design system to be inclusive of any user. So what that means is that any user of the home field design system should have the ability to implement a fully accessible component into their layout and product. So when designing components, don't just think about designing for disabilities and impairments, but for everyone. Physical and mental attributes deteriorate as we age. So when designing for touchscreens, think about text being hard to read or small touch points being difficult to action while people are on the move. Imagine a mom with a toddler in one arm and a grocery bag in the other, trying to enter an address into her Google Maps application. That's not a disability or an impairment, it's just being a human. And those are the types of scenarios and users we should be considering when we're designing. So next I want to talk about some basic accessibility for designing the majority of your components. First, it's important to design a visible focus state. Focus states allow the user to quickly navigate and understand where they are on the page. You also always want to make sure that your components have sufficient contrast from their background. This is not only a necessity for visually impaired people, but it also benefits users with low-resolution displays or people who are using their laptops outside, like today, in bright sunlight. Don't use just color to convey information. To more clearly convey it, distinguish it with another visual element that's easier for cognitive load. So for example, don't use just red text for error messaging. Accompany it with an icon that also signifies that to the user. Don't forget about the forms. Having accessible forms is a requirement for users to be able to complete tasks on your site using a screen reader and a keyboard. So some things to think about when it comes to accessible forms are to make sure that your label never disappears when your input takes focus. Always indicate required fields to the user and use clear and concise error messaging so that if a user does trigger an error, make it easy for them to resolve it. You want to make sure that your links are clear and visible as well. They should be easily distinguished from the rest of the text and use a clear description of what's going to happen if you click on it. Considering title hierarchy is also really important. It's not only good for visual hierarchy of your content, the title structure is actually also how screen readers navigate the page. So imagine bouncing around a page full of H3s and H1s, not really knowing context of where to go. And last but certainly not least, write good alternative text. The purpose of alternative text is to convey the same information in context that's understood by users who can see. In my opinion, this is probably one of the most important areas of accessibility from a designer's perspective. We're given the opportunity to empathize with our users in a way that may even take us out of our own comfort zones when designing. So as I ramble on about the importance of building an accessible design system, I wouldn't be able to in good conscience end this talk without acknowledging that just because you build an accessible design system doesn't guarantee that you're going to have accessible products. So our home field design system provides accessible components and markup that serve as a foundation for our product development. We as designers, product owners, engineers, all have an individual responsibility to not only meet the requirements of accessibility, but just design inclusively for everyone. That's all. Thank you, guys.